These days, marketers' primary job is not to manage their brand so much as to manage the conversation around their brand. And those conversations, of course, are occurring as much online as anywhere else. So if a marketer does not have an online strategy, firstly, they're not going to listen to the conversation, which is a big mistake. But secondly, they're not going to be in the best position for influencing that conversation to help consumers feel better about the brand. So these days, we feel that an online as well as an offline marketing strategy is an essential ingredient for any marketer. We've noticed from research we've done all across the world that in a downturn, the main issue is consumer sentiment and not the actual facts of the economy. Wherever you see this happening, we're realizing that consumers are leading, if you like, the economic activity by their own feelings. So people are very quickly driving the behavior of the economy by their own activities. And what we're seeing in the UK is that people are very firmly putting the hatch on important financial investments, cars, computers, anything that costs significant sums of money. And they're needing quite a lot of persuasion to come out of the box to buy them, even when they have enough money in their bank accounts. Nowadays, there's nothing more important than making marketing budgets work harder than they ever have. And the good news about the modern communications world is that that is more possible than it's ever been. In the old days, it used to be about tonnage. How many media rating points could I get for my money? And now, whilst there's still an element, of course, of spending money and making things happen, the brilliant thing is if you can find a powerful, contagious idea, an idea that people want to share with each other, you don't need to be spending huge sums of money. What you need to be doing is seeding it in the right place with the right impact and then let consumers share it themselves. That makes marketing budgets go much further and much harder than ever before. One thing the recession has brought out is the concept of value. And for a lot of people, value is price. We see a lot of marketers saying, hey, this will be cheaper, that'll be cheaper. But the truth is, if you are concerned about your budget and you're looking for bargains, if something is 20% off, which is a phenomenal amount for a company to give back to you, you're not sure you're going to buy it. If it's 50% off, you think, maybe it's too cheap, maybe it'll go to 70% off, and so on. So what we're finding is that seeking to persuade people of the value of things is much more important than driving purely on price. And that is as true of the bargain hunters as anybody. We're all susceptible to believing we've got a great deal. And that is a lot more about the value of a product than it is about the price of the product. Consumers have very clear brand preferences built up over their entire lifetime. So what we find is that their attitudes to brands have not changed so much in a downturn, but what we definitely find is that their attitude and willingness to pay for certain brands at a particular time has changed dramatically. It's obvious in brands like Aston Martin and Ferrari, people don't want to be seen driving a flash thing in the current world. But I think more importantly, it also affects people's attitudes to shopping at Marks and Spencer's for food versus down trading, in their view, to Sainsbury's, and so on. You see, they've always had certain attitudes to Marks and Spencer's or Sainsbury's, but the economic effect has shifted the way they view their willingness to pay for that brand. So I think the recession has seen a very big change in people's behavior, but not necessarily as big a change in people's attitudes to the brands themselves. One of the most important things we've seen across the world is that those brands that grabbed quickest that things were changing with the economic environment were the ones that have had the biggest share uplift within that. And it's very important to remember that brand share changes happen much more powerfully in a downturn than an upturn. So for marketers, this is a brilliant time to grab brand share. So what we're seeing is that consumers are definitely needing to see messaging about value and about relevance for that brand to them, or they will simply switch off and say, not today. So marketers who move their message and understand the consumer are reaping the rewards.